The Milwaukee Brewers play 2 5-game sets in the final 14 days of the season. There's another strikeout for KK, and he hits one a ton. At the wall, gone! That's a base hit. The Cardinals have the lead. Runners at first and second. Up the middle. Backhanded by Wong. A flip to DeYoung. And a game saver for Colton Wong. Oh, it has been back and forth this season between the Brewers and the Cardinals. We're at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. In 5 games to get into postseason play. Jim Hayes, Rick Horton, Dan McLaughlin, 71 degrees in the Gateway City. And let's go. This should be fun the next handful of days as KK takes them out.
We've been looking forward to this final homestand, final weekend of baseball. Everything on the line for both these teams. Kwang Hyun Kim, 2-0, 1.59 ERA in his rookie season. What a year it's been for him. As we look at his Hyundai pitch arsenal, a 4-seamer, slider, changeup, curveball, and he throws all of them for strikes. But just think about the adversity that he's dealt with his kidney issue. He was out for a couple of weeks. He's back, and he is very important to the Cardinals' hopes.
So the Brewers dropping a couple against Cincinnati in their all-important series with the Reds, and now they come into St. Louis with this lineup. Garcia, Yelich, and Braun. Dealing with a sore back, Ryan Braun. Jed Jerko has been red hot. Then Hira, Taylor, Arcia, Urias, and Nottingham. And the first pitch taken for a ball, and we are underway. Garcia batting .255, couple of home runs, and he has driven in 15. And a swing and a miss, 1 ball and 1 strike. Kim coming off his worst start of the season. That was against the Pirates on Saturday. No decision, 4 runs in 5 1/3. That was a 5-4 win. The Cardinals are being no hit in that game and had to come back late. 2 balls and 1 strike. Popped up to the right side. Goldschmidt is over, and it's out of play.
Several things I've liked about Kim, watching him work since spring training, and actually I've liked him better and better every time I see him pitch, because I know he's got an idea what he's doing. He loves to go in, out, which, you know, of course that's pitching. That's what you should be doing, but he does it, and he changes speeds well, and he's got a low riding fastball that often hitters will take. They think it's going to be down in the zone. They think that it will sink low, and it just rides to the bottom part of the zone. He's got that long extension.
Misses down and in, and with that it's 3 balls and 2 strikes. The Pirates beat the Chicago Cubs earlier today in Pittsburgh 7-0. The Cubs, you know, we hear about the Cardinals' lack of offense. How about the Cubs? They are not hitting either. They had only 2 hits in that ball game. The 3-2 pitch, and it's tapped foul. So they're limping to the finish line. And yet you still could have 3 teams from the NL Central make it into postseason play.
And think about what you're talking about the hitting issue and the NL Central. The bottom 5 teams in hitting in the National League, the Reds the lowest, then the Pirates, then the Cubs, then the Brewers, then the Cardinals. What do they have in common?
Pitching.
Yeah, and they're all in the Central.
Up the middle, back to KK. He'll spin and throw for the outs. The Cardinal defense around the horn is presented by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. Edmund, Carlson, and Fowler in the outfield. Carpenter, DeYoung, Wong, and Goldschmidt on the infield. And Yadier Molina is behind the plate.
So just a couple of moves today, one for each team. Carlos Martinez with his oblique strain on the 10-day injured list. Johan Oviedo back, and on the Brewers side, and this came up late, Freddie Peralta was placed on the paternity list, so Eric Lauer, left-handed reliever, has joined that pretty powerful bullpen they have.
But Christian Yelich went 1 for 9, 6 strikeouts during this week's crucial series against Cincinnati. But we know how dangerous he can be when it comes to facing Cardinal pitching. On the year, batting .210 with 11 home runs. He's driven in 21.
Craig Counsell going with a mostly right-handed lineup. All of his other lefties are on the bench except for Yelich. You've got to play Yelich, let's face it. But Vogelbach, Sogard, Narvaez, and Peterson all on the bench, all from the left side.
1-2 the count. Highest slugging percentage against the Cardinals since 1920. And the fourth highest is Christian Yelich. Ground ball, backhanded. The flip to Kim, and that's out number 2. Came in with a .635 slugging percentage against St. Louis. And in steps Ryan Braun. He's got 3 homers against the Cardinals in his last 5 games, and he's sitting on 29 career homers against St. Louis.
Really has resurrected his career in some ways. There were times where we were going into Milwaukee in the last couple of years thinking he's kind of their 4th outfielder. I mean, there are other guys they want to play more. They're young players, and he was hitting down in the order. They wanted to do that with him, and here he is in the 3rd spot and still very dangerous.
And swinging a hot bat. This is as well as he has swung all year, and maybe in the last few years. Slugging percentage as of this morning at .745. 2nd highest slugging percentage he's ever had in any month. You have to go back to July of 2008 to find a better month. That was over 12 years ago for Ryan Braun.
Well, you're talking about an MVP now, and you're saying this is the best month he's had since then?
Yes. And he'll get the ground ball hit to short. 3 ground ball outs for KK. Cardinals coming up in the home half of the 1st. And there's no score at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Along with Rick Horton, Jim Hayes, I'm Dan McLaughlin. The lineup for Mike Schultz Club. Colton Wong at the top. Switch hitter Tommy Edman, Paul Goldschmidt, Matt Carpenter, Yadier Molina, Brad Miller, Paul DeYoung. They're going to drop him down. He's had a tough end of the month here. Dexter Fowler and Dylan Carlson. Corbin Burns has a chance to be the first Milwaukee pitcher to earn the league ERA title. He's been very good
and could be one of the 3 guys that have won the Cy Young in the history of the organization. Very good means 4-0, and great stuff. 96 on the Hyundai pitch arsenal with his sinker. Now that's a 96-mile-an-hour sinker. A lot of swings and misses. Dan, his K rate is 13.3. That is a ton of strikeouts. He had 10 against the Cardinals in Milwaukee, and they tired him out. He could only go 4 2/3.
Right. So the batting average against 158. Opponent's OPS is 478, lowest among all qualifiers in Major League Baseball. The 1-0 pitch here now to Colton Wong. Hit out of play. Minimum 25 innings pitched. KK and Burns going head to head tonight, the top of that list. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, he's talking about big leaguers making adjustments. Burns last season in 32 games had an ERA of 8.82, and now we're talking about him maybe winning an ERA title. That's an adjustment.
May notice he's not wearing the goggles anymore. He used to wear the goggles. He had LASIK surgery in the offseason. That's a change. And started seeing a sports psychologist in the offseason. He's talked about that as well.
I wonder if that sports psychologist has taught him the cutter too.
And a 2-seamer. Gone to that a little bit too.
Because the cutter's been a big deal too. He goes down away with the sinker, in with the cutter, but a walk. Good start for St. Louis.
And the defense for Milwaukee behind Burns. Around the Horn is presented by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. Yelich, Garcia, and Taylor in the outfield. Urias, Arcia, Hira, and Jerko on the infield. Nottingham is behind the plate. Here's Tommy Edman with a runner at first base. Batting over 300 against Milwaukee this year with a .450 on base percentage in those 5 games at Miller Park.
Cardinals have had so few base runners really overall in the last week. You wonder whether they would think about moving Colton Wong, maybe a hit and run or even a straight steal at some point, just to try to make some offense happen.
Outfield is straight away, and that pitch is taken for a ball. And it's 2 balls and no strikes. Paul Goldschmidt on deck.
Talked about his K rate. His walk rate is a little high. Not terrible, but a little high. And so I would guess that Tommy Edman's going to wait him out here and make sure he throws a strike. Or he'll swing at it.
Well, if he's going to get a pitch to hit, let it rip.
I hadn't finished my sentence yet.
Understood. You see the cutout of Lou Brock there over the shoulder of Tommy Edman, thinking of number 20. Also think about Bob Gibson. Hopefully Bob is watching us tonight, thinking of the Hall of Famer, and hopefully taking in Cardinals baseball tonight, thinking of Bob Gibson. And that is popped up and out of play. Two and two. It's been a bit surprising this year. The Cardinals at 63% stolen base rate, which is fourth worst currently in Major League Baseball. 17 steals, 10 caught, after being very effective a year ago. Check on Colton Wong at 24 stolen bases last year.
Well, the running game, a little bit like the offense, it's just not quite fully gotten going yet. And the yet is almost over.
5 games, maybe 7, depending on what happens here this weekend. Doubleheader is potentially going to happen on Monday against Detroit.
And then hopefully October baseball.
You got it.
Which is a whole nother thing. The games on Monday, my understanding is if seedings for home field advantage are in play, or if it's whether a team actually makes the playoffs or not, those games would be played. And a lot can happen between now and then. We won't give ourselves a headache doing the math.
Reds are off. They'll take on Minnesota this weekend. The 2-2 pitch. Outside corner, and a strikeout of Tommy Edman. First strikeout for Burns.
There's the sinker from Burns. He may have gotten a little bit of the edge there, but too close to take.
Burns will live low in the zone, and Goldie is hitting .524 against low fastballs this year. No other player in baseball is even close. It's amazing the numbers you can dive into. But if he gets a pitch low, let's see what he can do with it.
And that is the kind of analytic fact and number that the staff for the Brewers will share with the pitcher and the catcher that day. And of course, Goldie is aware of that too, just where Burns likes to work. So it's my best against your best.
Wong, the leadoff walk. Room on the right side of the infield. And strike one. Rick Horton's Toyota, key to the game.
Well, with Goldie up, I talked about him being the key to the Cardinals offense and so important to this offense. But the Cardinals need to find some offense, whether they do it via the home run, and they are last in baseball with home runs, or the running game. Somehow, some way, they have to manufacture more offense or errors by the pitcher.
So Wong will wind up at second base as that ball got away.
I always found, and it's been a long time to actually remember the feelings, Dan, but walking a batter is frustrating. But when you make an error as a pitcher, and that ball in the dirt probably could have been handled by Jerko and should have. But when you make an error as a pitcher, that just sticks with you. I mean, you start the slow boil, and it's hard to get over it. And let's hope he doesn't.
You fight it, huh?
Yes. What'd I do that for?
On pitch now to Paul Goldschmidt. Good rip. Players began essentially their quarantine last night as they arrived from Kansas City and staying in a hotel and start the bubble life. I guess that's the way you want to call it. That's the way it's going to be for Major League Baseball players. Did not return back to their homes.
Well, the bubble life not ideal for guys with their families, but the October baseball life is pretty ideal.
I'd say come this far, keep it going.
That's right.
The 1-2 pitch, and that'll get away. Nottingham can't find it. Wong stopping at third.
So on the frustration meter, now you've had a walk, an error, and a wild pitch. Command is just off a little bit. He overcooks that slider, and the Sheriff wasn't able to get in front of that. He just tried to pick it with his glove instead of getting the body in front of it. And now a scoring opportunity for St. Louis. Infield in for Milwaukee.
Infield in the first inning. Runs at a premium potentially tonight.
You bet.
2-2 the count on Paul Goldschmidt. Matt Carpenter on deck. Now, if you're Milwaukee, does Goldie even see a pitch to hit on 3-2? Take your chances with Carp.
I try to get him to chase. I mean, when you say pitch to hit, if you mean in the middle, no. If you mean off the plate and moving even further away, I'd say yes. Slider down the way is what I'd throw.
3-2, and he got him. Cardinals have had so many issues this year with a runner at third, less than 2 outs, or just simply, and that's the pitch you're talking about, Ricky, but getting a runner on or multiple runners on and bringing them in.
One thing that I think has been an epidemic in the game this year, and I know the pitching is good in a lot of places, a lot of guys throwing high 90s, but the number of called strike threes that we're seeing night after night, both the Cardinals and the visiting team, it's an epidemic of it. And I believe the umpires are giving a little more off the plate this year. I think that's standard.
I would agree. Kept in front by Nottingham, that saves a run.
But you adjust to it, and if the ball's an inch outside, I mean, you don't want to be right and still be making that right turn back to the dugout. You've got to protect.
Carpenter, 24 hits, 23 runs batted in, 22 runs scored, 21 walks. He was 0 for 13 with 5 strikeouts in the 5 games at Miller Park earlier this season.
And that followed him really getting his timing back at home just before the team went to Milwaukee, and then something happened there, and the road trip wasn't good for Matt. But you know, he's had moments where the timing comes back again, and let's hope the next 5 days one of those times.
Shift on the infield on the right side, and the 1-1 pitch. 2 strikes on Carpenter. Already 20 pitches here in the first inning for Burns.
I'd like to order another wild pitch, please.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Molina on deck. On a play. .600 career games at Busch Stadium coming into today for Carpenter. Only Yadier Molina has more at .938. The 2-2 pitch, and Carpenter hits it down the right field line, but yanks it foul.
That's a bit of a hanger from Burns, who does not do that very often. And the Cardinals certainly making him work this inning. And I mentioned his start in Milwaukee. He threw 101 pitches in 4 2/3 innings, and that's about the rate he's on here. And I guess the bad news is the Brewers have several guys in their bullpen who are having good seasons.
Oh boy,
especially our native St. Louis.
Devin Williams.
Oh man, is he fun to watch. Kind of.
And then you got Josh Hader sitting there too. 2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. He strikes out the side. Cardinals will strand a runner. It'll be Jerko, Hira, Taylor coming up.
Push for the playoffs. If this wasn't 2020, Busch Stadium would be a madhouse right now. Much different without fans in the stands. Mike Shildt understands it. He said it's part of the deal. Shildt said it's clearly different from the electricity we would expect. Once the game starts, me personally, my focus hasn't changed. I forget sometimes we don't have a crowd, but I can't speak for the players. There is an energy that's missing for sure. Danny, most of the players I've asked agree with Shildt. They say once the game starts, it's baseball.
Well, you start to get locked in, I would figure, Ricky.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah, I think one of the things, and Jack Flaherty said this early on, and Adam has said it several times, Adam Wainwright, when there's a big moment, that's when you kind of miss it. You know, whether it's a walk-off or a pitcher comes out after a good performance, it's still kind of in you to expect that kind of loud appreciation from the fans, and you know it's there. Mike Shildt was saying, you know, our fans are celebrating, we just can't hear them. I mean, that was his hope. That's the way he looked at it, and I would personally say, Dan, there have been several times during the year where it just hits me out of the blue.
I would agree.
I looked up in the first inning and looked around and thought, okay, this is pennant race baseball, September baseball, one of my favorite things, but the energy that 44,490 people would bring to this game is missing.
I love the final homestand of the regular season. There are great moments. There are goodbyes. There are pennant races. There are 2,000 hits sometimes.
The fans singing on the last day the national anthem.
So those kind of things.
That's not going to happen. It's going to be kind of quiet.
Yeah. Swing and a miss and a strikeout in the first for KK. He gets Jerko, who has been destroying left-handed pitching this year.
Really good pitch. Turned that one over. A little changeup. You don't really think of that as one of the top 1 or 2 pitches that Kim has, but he's got a good one. That had nice movement to it. Fooled Jerko, and he just kind of flailed at it.
Here's Keston Hira. 2 for his last 20 with 12 strikeouts in his last 6 games. Got his first day off of the season on Tuesday. They called it a mental break. Didn't help Wednesday. Went 0 for 4 with a couple of strikeouts. Good off-speed pitch. 1-1. Well, before the start on Saturday, Kim had allowed just 1 earned in 27 2/3. There's a fly ball lifted into right. That may drop, and it does. It's a base hit. Wong kicking it. I think he meant to do that, to shovel it a little bit there, to Fowler coming in and having a better chance momentum going forward in case Hero was thinking too.
You're thinking soccer player like a center mid, just kind of feeding the wing and giving him a shot at the goal here. We'll see if he does kick it or not.
Maybe with the glove.
There's
here.
the blue pit here, and there's oh yeah, you take it.
That's a smart play.
Well, we don't know. We'll have to ask Colton
Next year.
Did you next year on the backfield?
Right.
I wonder if he'll remember.
I guarantee he will.
I bet he would.
Here's Tyrone Taylor. There's a strike by Kim, who started this season, remember, as the closer against Pittsburgh.
Pitched well enough in spring training to be a starter on this team, I thought. But at the time, the Cardinals had enough starters. And you think about where the Cardinals are now with Carlos Martinez to the injured list, Dakota Hudson, and Mike Schultz saying before the game today that he doesn't know, he can't give you definite, but not optimistic that we're going to see Dakota anytime soon, and they're still waiting the actual process that he's going to go through, whether surgery's involved or not. So that's two starters right there, and if Kim is not doing what he's doing this year, the Cardinals are really not worried about September baseball.
They're not in it.
No, they're not in it.
Two one on the ground. Could be two. Out there, the turn, double play. Carpenter, Wong, Goldschmidt. The best defense in baseball on display behind Kim. No score. Base hit in the major leagues. Now too shy of 2,000. And those Cardinals with 1,900 or more career hits with St. Louis.
That's all the names on that list, isn't it? That's a pretty good,
it's amazing,
grouping to be a part of. And Yadi just 2 hits away, and just so excited for him. That's going to be a special moment for him. And I think it'll be nice to have Benji here at the ballpark to celebrate it with him.
Working on the Spanish radio broadcast. Little chopper left side. Can he beat it out? And he will. He is 1 hit shy of 2,000 in his career. The base hit for Yadier Molina. 1,999 hits for Yadi.
I don't know how many of those 1,999 were infield hits. But he gets one here as he hits this one to the shortstop hole, and he had a little trouble getting it out of his glove. Arcia did. And Yadi hustling all the way, 1 step closer.
Brad Miller 2 for his last 22 with 9 strikeouts. Very short lead at first for Molina, and a strike.
The next 2 hitters that we're going to see are the 2 hitters that need to get their timing back. You just need to have Brad Miller doing what he was doing early in the season. He was over 300. So was Paul DeYoung.
By the way, hit number 1,000 for Yadi was an infield hit that he beat out.
Was it?
Yep.
Remember what the temperature was?
I don't. I do remember hit number 1,000 though. Here's a 1-1 pitch to Miller. Base hit into center.
I think Miller directed that ball to the left side to beat the shift. Here's the pitch. It's a sinker down and away, and he takes it away, and he hit that ball pretty squarely, but there's nobody at home except maybe the second base umpire. Mark Carlson had a better shot at making that play than anybody else did.
Now Paul DeYoung. Oh, for his last 15. Yanks it just foul. But to your point, Ricky, if they could get a big weekend out of DeYoung,
Yes.
it changes everything.
No doubt. And he's been fighting himself lately, and you can just see the frustration building for him. Down to 250. He had a rough second half of the season last year. But, you know, obviously a different year here. We're just playing 60 games. It's not, I don't think it's fatigue. It might be because he's playing every day.
You also have to wonder how the virus has hit different players.
Sure.
We just don't know. He's 4 for 9, by the way, a home run, 4 runs batted in against this right-hander.
Mike Shildt said that today about Carlos Martinez. He said we have to remember that I don't know of a player that got hit by the virus physically more than Carlos did.
Then you have a guy like Freddie Freeman, who was one of the first that we found out about in Major League Baseball, and he might be the MVP of the league.
Good point. Boy, I remember the moment we found out about Freddie Freeman. I thought we might not have a 2020 season.
Agreed. 0-2 pitch. When Yachty hits number 2,000, it would make him the 12th catcher to reach that plateau. An infield hit to start the inning. Miller, the base hit to center. The first 2 have reached, and the Cardinals have made Burns work here in the first couple of innings. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Got him to reach, and a strikeout of Paul DeYoung, his 4th of the night.
Well, we've seen this swing a lot in the last week or so. That's a pitch that was never a strike. And Paul's not seeing slider spin because that pitch, he knows it's outside out of the hand. So he must be thinking it's a sinker that's going to come back and not seeing the slider spin. And chasing that breaking pitch down and away has been an issue. Boy, it's nice to have Dexter back.
Big time. It's a different presence in the lineup, the veteran presence that he's giving the Cardinals. Now he is batting 8th. Cardinals kind of easing him back in, but with no minor leagues, did not go to the alternate site. Very tough just to jump back into a major league lineup, but he's done it.
He's going to give you a professional at bat too. He's going to work counts. He's going to do all those things. On base percentage, always kind of a high thing for Dexter, even if he's not necessarily hitting well, and he can occasionally run into one too. Last homestand, the Cardinals, if memory serves, had 5 home runs in one game and 4 in another. And despite that, they are the team that has the fewest home runs in all of baseball.
They're just not slugging. And Mike talked about that this past week in Kansas City. Just not hitting for a lot of power and looking for a timely hit here. The 1-1. Average on the off-speed pitch 169. That's worst in baseball. Slugging against off-speed 249. That's also at the bottom of baseball.
Anybody that was ever around George Kissel for an extended period of time, the great teacher of baseball, the guy that taught Mike Shildt about the Cardinal Way. The Cardinal Way was a book that Mike Shildt wrote about George Kissel's teaching. One of the things George used to say is, my wife can hit a fastball. She just can't hit the curve. So don't tell me you can hit a fastball. That's a good thing. Everybody can, even my wife. I'm not sure that's true or not.
3-2 the count on Dexter Fowler.
Never saw Mrs. Kissel bat, but
lace him up and get out there. 3-2 pitch.
And the deep count we're talking about. Dexter working the count, fouling the pitch off, pitch count up to 40. I'd really like to see Burns out of this game after 4. You know, Jack Flaherty had one of those games this year. He just could not get, I believe it was against the Cubs, just couldn't get a guy to hit a ball in play. They kept fouling pitches off and deep counts, and he was spent quickly.
The 3-2 instead of check on the runners. Chop to the right side. Runners advance to second and third, and again the Cardinals will try to come up with a key 2-out hit. It'll be Dylan Carlson coming up, the 9th place batter who's been taking some of the better at bats for the Cardinals here recently. Introducing MLB Film Room, powered by Google Cloud. Create custom reels, search 3.5 million videos, watch, create, share. Only at cardinals.com/filmroom. Here's Carlson. Well, 2 nights ago, home run shy of the cycle.
Danny, we chatted last night and predicted that Mike Schilt might put Paul DeJong down in the lineup, probably 7th, and here he is. But I also wondered whether he gave any thought to moving Dylan Carlson up in the lineup.
Yeah. Now, I guess his thinking is you get the first time through, and it's, you know, Carlson batting 9th, and it's almost like you get that extra punch of Carlson, Wong, Edman here once you get through it.
And you get the speed together, which is part of the reason of having Bader in that spot too. And you know, Dylan's got a lot of talent. There's no question about it. And I think he's starting to see the ball better. I mean, he still seems susceptible to the changeup to me.
It's been better though.
Yes.
Out of play. So here we are to get 5 outs. This will be pitch number 45 for Burns. That looms large potentially here in game 1. 1 ball, 2 strikes. The next 2, Dylan Carlson. Can't emphasize that enough, making him work here early on.
No question.
As you talked about, Peralta's on the paternity list, so that's a big arm away from this ball club and out of their pen. The 2-2 pitch to Carlson. Little flare out to shallow left. Yelich backs up and makes the catch. Came in, had to go back. Yachty 1 hit shy of 2,000. He'll try to make history coming up later tonight. On the league we go. Alex Gordon of Kansas City announced his retirement following the season. Shane Bieber leads Major League starters. He's off to the Cy Young Award in the American League. Leading Major League starters, wins, ERA, strikeouts, and Trevor Bauer might win the Cy Young in the National League.
Yu Darvish probably has a shot at that too, and there's others. And you'd think about Kim in that regard if he had more starts. Maybe that's the only thing that's keeping him from that. But you also think about Kim as a candidate for Rookie of the Year.
And he is technically a rookie.
He certainly is. He's a rookie who's been an MVP of a league before in the KBO when he was 20 years old.
MVP, Cy Young Award there.
That's right.
Cy Young Award winner over there. And a strike, 2-1 on Arcia. 3rd inning, 7, 8, and 9. Arcia, Urias, and Nottingham. I just love the way he changes speeds. You know he's got an idea.
And they're strikes.
The pace.
First
everything's
pitch,
around the plate.
First pitch strikes.
2-2. And a base hit into right field. Fowler over. He'll cut it off. And Arcia stops at second base. Leadoff double. Well, this game has been a typical Cardinals game in 2020. They've had opportunities, not a lot of hits. They've had 2, but can't get the ball out of the infield and not scoring.
Arcia taking that changeup the other way. It's the same pitch that Kim threw to Jed Jerko, but the one to Jerko moved down and away from the hitter. This one kind of moved back over the plate, giving him just enough of a chance to drive it that way. Very slight difference, but a different result.
So Burns has had to throw 46 pitches to get through 2. Kim at 31 here in the third.
But to your point, Dan, you really can't get that excited about almost scoring runs.
Big bender in there for a strike. Urias, third baseman, hitting .238. Corners in, middle infield back.
I don't know what a rhombus is, but that looks like a rhombus.
If you don't know what it is, how do you know what it looks like?
Now that's a good question.
Just saying.
I think it's a rhombus. Let's just say when I saw that defense, I thought, well, that's an interesting shape. Haven't seen that before. And I thought rhombus. So
okay.
Been a long time since I studied that. You know how my mind works.
I got you. The 1-1. Little check swing and a foul ball. I caught you, didn't I?
Well, I'm going to have to look it up now.
We'll check back with Rick in the third in the bottom half. No score here in St. Louis. Cubs have lost. The Reds off. They'll have Minnesota tomorrow. And who knows, Ricky, it may come down to Monday in Detroit.
It may very well.
There's some talk that the Cardinals would play host to the Tigers. Tigers are in Kansas City, but that will not be the case. They will make the Cardinals go to Detroit and play those games.
I guess you have fairness issues, but I don't know why you'd worry about fairness issues when it's a season that things haven't been fair anyway. It's been an imbalanced schedule.
You had 10 games at Wrigley Field.
Right.
Good pitch in on his hands, and the Brewers not able to advance the runner to third. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Bud Light Seltzer, unquestionably good, and by Chevrolet, the #1 selling brand in the St. Louis area. Find yours at your Mid-America Chevy dealer. Strikeout number 2. Now Jacob Nottingham. .71 miles an hour.
And again, strike 1.
First time a chance to see these road unis of Milwaukee with the different look that they have. Different tops. Milwaukee in the front. I like it.
I do too. I think it's sharp.
Milwaukee came to the NL Central in 1998.
I really enjoyed the uniforms that the Royals and the Cardinals wore on the 100th anniversary of the Negro Leagues.
It was great. Popped up down the right field line. Goldie over. Almost came up with it. We were on the radio side. We have Bob Kendrick on from the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum. He was just outstanding.
And for those folks who never had a chance to go to that in Kansas City, that's a must. I mean, you'll love being there. If you love the game of baseball, it's a have to, I would say. And the uniforms, for those who may have missed that game, the Cardinals are wearing mostly blue. They had kind of blue and gray, and the Royals were wearing red. The Kansas City Monarchs colors, and the Cardinals the 1930 jersey of the St. Louis Stars.
They had won the pennant that year, and the Monarchs, the 45 team. Jackie Robinson was the shortstop that year. One ball and 2 strikes. Swing and a miss, and a strikeout of Nottingham. So after the leadoff double, back-to-back strikeouts for KK.
He came in on him, and almost identical to what he did on Urias. Came in on the hands, tied him up. Good pitching in this game.
So Burns with 4 strikeouts has pitched out of trouble, and now Kim trying to do that here. He has struck out 3. Runner at second, top of the lineup, and Garcia. And ball 1 down and in.
You can see why these 2 starters have ERAs under 2.
Five strikeouts in this game now, with runners in scoring position for both teams. Garcia bounced back to Kim his first time up. He's 0 for 1. Off speed, had him out in front. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Visail Garcia once when he was with the White Sox as a young player, and not that long ago, was second in the American League in batting to Jose Altuve. And so he was a prized prospect in terms of trade bait, and he ends up here in Milwaukee. And this Brewers team is a little different than the team we saw in 2019.
Line to Goldschmidt, playing off the line at first base. Leadoff double, left stranded. And now we move to the home half of the third. Top of the lineup coming up for the Cardinals. Wong, Edman, Goldschmidt. All important game, and there's no score. Proud to feature the Cardinals fan favorite for September, the steak and cheese sub, fueling fans around St. Louis all month long. High strike to Wong. He's 3 games shy of 850 in his career, and he pulls that foul. 3 hits shy of 700 in his career. We talk about getting guys on, not getting them in. Over his last 15 games, Ricky, he has reached base 17 times. He has scored twice.
Oh, man.
Go back to the beginning of last season, close to a 400 hitter against Milwaukee. 3 homers, driven in 15. Walked, left stranded back in the first inning. 1-2 the count on Colton Wong. And that's spoiled.
And that's the kind of swing that has really gotten him to the next level. He's gotten really good with 2 strikes. Doesn't mean he can't strike out or he'll never strike out, but he has a much quieter approach to try to hit the ball the other way and to protect the plate, and that's what you want your leadoff hitter to do. Get on base. Of course, you got to get him in too, but he's doing his job to get on.
1-2 pitch. Up the middle, base hit. So all 3 innings, the Cardinals have had their leadoff man on. Second time for Wong with a walk and now a single.
And that means more pitches for Burns. And more pitches under stress. Here's the quiet approach. Almost nothing in the bottom half of the body. It's just all him getting the bat through the zone. And that's a hard hit ground ball. There are hits on the ground. I know everybody thinks there are more hits in the air, but there are some hits left on the ground if you hit the ball hard.
That's a rarity against Burns this year. 87% of the time, Ricky, with 2 strikes, he retires the batter this season. I mean, he's been awesome in that regard.
Well, he didn't seem too happy about it right there.
No. Check on Colton. Tommy Edman called out on strikes. First time up. Reached base safely in 8 straight against Milwaukee, going back to last season, the 5 games in Miller Park. And ball 1.
I don't know if you noticed it, Dan, but you'll watch me in September. I always do it, a lot of scoreboard watching. And I thought I'd point out that my cardboard cutout behind home plate is also doing some scoreboard watching.
I've noticed that.
In the 3rd row. I got the nice seats with my daughter Jen tonight.
And a grounder, base hit right side. Wong on his way to 3rd. And the Cardinals will have 1st and 3rd. And the cutout of Rick Horton and Jen Horton stay in their seats. They're just reserving judgment until they see a run scored.
But so far so good here in the 3rd inning. A base hit for Wong, and Tommy Edman with hitting room on the right side of the infield drives it past Jerko, and the diving second baseman Hira and Colton Wong fast enough to go 1st to 3rd. Good speed on the bases. You love that about your table setters.
So his last pitch was 1-5-3 to the plate. He is not. I've been keeping a watch on him. He hasn't been overly quick to the plate. And now you got Edman at 2nd. Maybe start something here. Get it going. Paul Goldschmidt. Shift on the left side. Goldie lines it into center. That is down for a base hit, and a run will score. And it's 1-0 Cardinals. The Redbirds strike first thanks to Paul Goldschmidt. 3 consecutive singles here in the 3rd against Burns.
Tommy Edman was a little bit in between as to whether or not to just take off and go 1st to 3rd. Here's the hit by Goldschmidt. It's a breaking pitch down and away, a little bit off the end of the bat, but it drops in front of the center fielder, and there's Tommy Edman. He stops right there and thinks, maybe he'll catch it, and I better be ready to go back just in case. And I think he may have also been thinking, I'm probably not going to 3rd either way by that time, so might as well do the safe thing. But the Cardinals are making it tough on Burns here in the 3rd inning, and the pitch count continues to go up.
While we have a moment, quick word from Great Southern Bank.
Split some pregame pizza 5 ways. Send money anywhere, anytime with Great Southern Bank's mobile app.
And
here's
Dan,
Matt Carpenter.
I know this is important to you, and I need to clear it up in the middle of this Cardinal rally. That was a trapezoid, not a rhombus.
Thank you.
So, you okay with that?
Relieved.
Good.
Been thinking about it ever since. And this is a shift on Carpenter. 1st and 2nd. Strike 1 on Carpenter.
Boy, you just need to pile on here, don't you? Keep pressing. This is, you get a run, you can't say, okay, that's good. You have got him on the ropes right here. You got to get the haymaker out.
Lead on deck.
Couple of body shots already, but a big fly would be nice.
Goldschmidt snapped a 6-game stretch without an RBI. Put the Cardinals on the board 1-0. 3 for 8 with a double, 2 homers against this right-hander.
And I think that's why he's in the cleanup spot in the Cardinals lineup tonight.
The 1-1. And Carpenter lifts it in the air out to deep right field. It's at the wall and it's caught. Taylor up against the wall. Makes a great catch. Takes a hit away from Carpenter.
And a mistake by Tommy Edman on the bases, not being on third base. I'm not sure if he did not see that ball caught or he wasn't sure what to do. And here's the play first. Right up against the wall, and if you have that ball up against the wall, you're not throwing somebody out at third. He's kind of in between. Do I tag up or not? He thought it was over his head at that point. Now by the time he comes back to tag up, it's too late. Carpenter disappointed, but so was Tommy Edman. He was hanging his head. He's mad at himself for not being on third base.
And now it's Yadier Molina, 1,999 hits. And strike 1 on Yadi. An infield hit back in inning number 2. Here's the 0-1. Arcia give it everything. Most hits as a primary catcher in National League history. 4th on this list. One ball, 1 strike on Yadier Molina. Fouled back.
Not that he needs it, but 2,000 hits will be the hit that seals the Hall of Fame for Yadier Molina, as if he's not reached that anyway. But I think that would take a doubt of anybody who has a doubt in their mind. I think I would call this the Hall of Fame hit for Molina, number 2,000.
Totally agree. The 1-2 pitch to Yadier Molina. Here it comes. And he struck him out. So Molina strikes out. And there's 2 away, and the Cardinals will need a 2-out hit by Miller, who singled earlier. Five strikeouts for Burns. Big gap in right center.
You know, I think about Edman not being on third base, and that's such a feel play. It's getting the instinct going. It's seeing balls off the bat, just as we've seen a lot of balls drop in the outfield. Bad outfield play. It's really a remnant of the fact that guys are not seeing balls off the bat. They're getting here at staggered times to the ballpark. They're not getting the reps. You know, I think we have to occasionally step back and say the baseball is not as sharp as it should be for big leaguers in 2020, but we should also understand across baseball that there's a reason for that.
The 1-1 pitch, Miller. Well, the Cardinals have had opportunities to really have more than just a one-run lead. You know, you think about Edman, the mistake not tagging up from going to second to third earlier in the game, runners on, not advancing, not bringing in. But that has in many ways summed up their season. Now they need the 2-out hit. 2-1 pitch.
As good as the Cardinals pitching has been this year, it's why they haven't been more than 2 games over 500 or 2 games under 500.
That's right.
From pitch 1.
Burns is one of 72 pitchers in the league, all of baseball, 50 or more innings pitched. The only one to allow 1 home run or fewer this year. Carpenter sent one to the wall, came up just short. Time is called. Three and 1 the count on Miller. Cardinals with 3 consecutive singles to start the inning. Carpenter flied out. Molina struck out. 3-1 pitch. Now 3-2. They're off with the next pitch. And Miller spoils it.
Over 20 pitches in each inning for Corbin Burns. 24 in the first, 22 in the second. Next pitch will be his 22nd here in the 3rd inning. And one more inning like this, and he will be a 4-inning starter.
Three-two pitch. Miller lines it to Jerko. Cardinals pick up the run off the bat of Goldschmidt to drive in Wong. We played 3 and it's 1-0. Sweepstakes for the chance to win exclusive Cardinals merchandise like an autographed item. Visit www.cardinals.com/Phillips66 to enter. Remember, Kim had 7 innings of shutout baseball against the Brewers back on the 14th of this month. You got 3 shutout thus far tonight, so 10 consecutive against this club. Yelich, Braun, and Jerko. Christian Yelich grounded out to first. 1 ball and 1 strike. Lefty O'Doul with the highest slugging percentage against the Cardinals since 1920. 4th on the list, Yelich. And right in front of him, Ryan Howard, who just destroyed the Cardinals when he was with the Phillies. Rogers Hornsby on that list too. Man, oh man, did Ryan Howard kill the Cardinals. Holy smokes. 2-1 pitch. Ryan Howard played at Missouri State, which makes me think of the Missouri Valley Conference, which then makes me think of Doug Elgin,
yes,
who just announced his retirement after the academic year. The commissioner of the MVC for 33 years, and he's done so much for the city of St. Louis by keeping Arch Madness here in town, which generates millions of dollars for the community. So congratulations to Doug Elgin, one of the real good people in our town. Yelich is 0 for 2. Doug is one of the best. Just a great man.
Met him several years before even coming to St. Louis. He worked at the University of Virginia.
Yeah.
And so we crossed paths there. And you can't find anybody that's worked with him or been around him that doesn't have the utmost respect for Doug Elgin.
Nicest man. Brought the Final Four, helped bring the Final Four here with the St. Louis Sports Commission. And his staff has stayed intact for years. And a lot of that is to do with the fact that they love working with him. So many good players have come out of the MVC, baseball players. Ryan Braun takes a ball. Braun grounded out to short. Well, you have to wonder in Milwaukee, is it the final time they've seen Ryan Braun as they've wrapped up the home portion of their schedule?
When I think about Milwaukee, I think about them kind of the same way I think about the Cardinals. You get into a 3-game series with somebody and you get into the playoffs, just get in. And of course, the Brewers have a shot, a legitimate shot here. But you get into a 3-game playoffs if you're the Cardinals and you have Kim and Flaherty and Wainwright, feel pretty good about that.
Sure.
But with them having Burns and Woodruff and Brett Anderson, I would say they probably feel pretty good about their chances. Really, no matter who you're playing.
2-1. Off speed. 3-1 the count on Braun.
And the way Milwaukee could shorten a game by their bullpen.
You got to figure the DH is in play and here to stay. Does that mean that Ryan Braun comes back?
Good question.
Full count on Braun. There's Braun, who had the catcher's interference on Molina in Milwaukee, and then both benches cleared. There was some arguing, some yelling, but no fighting.
Bench clearing conversation is what I like to call them.
That works too. 3-2 ripped out to left. Third hit of the night for the Brewers.
I did notice that Craig Counsell and Mike Schilt both had the lineup cards at home plate and seemed very cordial. And so everybody's just playing baseball today. And this guy's been playing baseball for a long time and playing it at a high level. Man, he can hit a fastball. I don't care how hard you throw, he can hit a fastball.
This is the guy, though, you got to be careful with.
Yeah, I agree.
Jerko, .434 on base percentage, slugging .707 against lefties this year. 1100 OPS against the lefties. That's the 8th highest in Major League Baseball this season, Ricky. We saw it in St. Louis. He could do some damage against lefties, and he's also another one that does damage against those fastballs.
Yes, he does. There's the lefty damage, 293.
He's become their everyday first baseman. Little jam shot. Wong lets it bounce. A flip. And back to first. Not in time.
What a smart play and a daring play that was for Colton Wong with all the spin on it. That he basically had the runner Braun confused as to what to do. And when Braun decides not to go, you trade the base runner Braun for Jerko and maybe get a double play. So he let it drop, then flipped to DeYoung onto first, not in time. But if Jerko wasn't running that out, that might have been a double play. And the downside of doing that play is the spin on that baseball. You don't know where it's going. You hope you know where it's going. That was a gutsy play.
Got the true hop.
Yes, he did. That's where you go pat Bill Finley on the back. Thank you very much.
Yes. Bill Finley, the head groundskeeper here at Busch Stadium. Keston Hiura hit a bloop single into right field back in the second inning. 2 outs, runner at first.
So to make a play like that, if you're Colton Wong, you have to have the most supreme level of confidence in your own ability, your hands, your judgment, because it's a little daring. It's a 1-0 game in September baseball, and yet you're going to try to do something extraordinary to get a double play. I think that's a sign of just how mature Colton Wong is as a player.
0-2 up the middle and a base hit into center field. Here is now 2 for 2, and it brings in Tyrone Taylor.
I could hear a grunting on that swing all the way up here. There it is. He can hit the ball hard. Here again.
It's here his 10th multi-hit game, and now Taylor hit into a 5-4-3 double play. First pitch, a strike by Kim.
What would the Brewers be looking at as far as their season and their hopes going forward if they had Lorenzo Cain this year?
Well, it's certainly a different look to their lineup. They've got Garcia playing center tonight. Their expectations for those that they signed to play first base have not worked out, but they get Jerko, who's having a fine year. Vogelbach has been a guy that they picked up. It was kind of on the scrap heap that's paid off. No Moustakas. He signs with the Reds.
And they did have Cain for 5 days before he opted out.
And that was during the COVID situation with the Cardinals. When that hit the Cardinals, he said, I'm done.
No judgment on anybody that made that statement.
Nope. 2 strikes on Taylor. Yasmani Grandal, another big free agent signing by the White Sox. He was with the Brewers last year, switch hitting catcher.
A tough out. Power.
Eric Thames with Washington. Davies, Lyles, Jeffress, Chase Anderson.
Aguilar's had a nice kind of resurfacing with
Miami. Left side under the glove of DeYoung. The throw coming in from left field by Edman. And that's not in time, and it's a 2-out base hit, and this game is tied. That scores Jerko. So Tyrone Taylor ties the game up with a base hit to left, sneaking under the glove of Paul DeYoung.
Oh, and I know Paul DeYoung knows that all he's got to do is just get a glove on that. And he saves a run, and he makes the effort, lays out, does everything he can, and just can't quite reach it. You knock that down, then it's bases loaded, and the play at the plate a little closer than I thought it would be. The Cardinal lead was short-lived, and it harkens back to the fact that they weren't able to add on to that 1 run and get more.
So the RBI hit with 2 outs brings in Jerko, and now it's Arcia. First and second, he doubled into right. That was back in the 3rd. Well, one of the stories developing in this game, the Cardinals already are 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position. The Brewers 1 for 4. On a play.
You talk about finding offense. That's really the best way to find offense is have a better wrist. Think about the year that Alan Craig led the Cardinals. Not just him, but everybody else hitting over 300 runners in scoring position. Runs were all over the place.
And a grounder foul. 2 strikes. Happy birthday wishes go out to our buddy Bernard Gilkey. Happy birthday, Bernard. St. Louis native and former Cardinal.
Always good to see him.
One-two pitch. Pulled foul again. And the pitch count now going up for Kim, approaching 70.
Arcia has really turned himself into a big league hitter. There was times when he was young where you could just knock the bat out of his hands. He would flail at pitches, and if he had any kind of break to it or even a good fastball, he just was late on everything. But he has really made an adjustment and becoming much tougher out.
They had Gene Segura there for a while, and they thought this was the heir apparent to him. They love this guy, especially his defense. And towards the end of last year was a big struggle for him offensively. If the Cardinals get 9 or more opportunities with runners in scoring position, they're 14-4 this year, and yet they're 1 for 9 tonight. So long ways to go. Little floater that'll carry to DeYoung, and the catch is made. 2-out hit by Taylor. That ties the game up 1-1. Fries for just $1 after any Cardinals home run. Fredbird carving pumpkins tonight in Big Mac land, and yeah, that's right. Halloween not too far away. He's always got a theme every night, and tonight it's carving pumpkins. I like it.
You know,
DeYoung with a drive left center at the wall, and it is caught on the run by Yelich.
well, we talk about Yelich offensively, but he's always been a good defender also. Going back to his days with Miami, that's one of the things we noticed about him early on, seeing him in spring training all the time. DeYoung, that's as good an at-bat as we've seen in a while. And I don't think the ball's carrying very well today. A little cooler, perhaps. I thought he might have gotten that one enough on the fat part of the bat to get it out of here, but similar to the drive that Matt Carpenter hit that didn't make it out.
A strike to Dexter Fowler.
So do you think Fredbird, you and I have known him a long time.
Yeah.
Do you think season ends, let's say it's end October or whatever, the world, do you think in December he'll be up there doing something else?
Oh, yeah.
Regardless of whether anybody's here?
Unquestionably. Oh, yeah.
I would not be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised either.
Maybe making a snowman or something?
Sure. The 0-2.
That's dedication.
He's got a theme for everything.
Well, we know because we see him that he does not fly south for the winter.
That's correct. I'm just hoping that we can get out on a Cardinal caravan or winter warm-up. We haven't got word on that yet.
No, we have not. Love those.
Ball and 2 strikes on Dexter Fowler. Get fans in the stands here next year. Two and 2 the count. And Dexter, to your point earlier, has worked the count full, something he has done and does a lot this year.
74 pitches now for Burns as he works in the 4th inning. Love to see a couple of base runners and just work that up even higher here this inning. Back to the DeYoung at bat. Maybe that'll be the start of something for him.
And there you go. Walks here with 1 out in the 4th. St. Louis Cardinals baseball is brought to you by Ford, the official car and truck of the Cardinals, and by the Missouri Lottery. Every ticket you play gives back to schools across Missouri, so play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. So Burns his 2nd walk. And this will be a medical visit for Counsell and the Brewers.
Oh boy.
You can see Counsell immediately going to the crew chief, Mark Carlson, and pointing to his trainer to say that this is a medical visit.
And of course, the home plate umpire has to listen in on the conversation so they don't say, yeah, how's your arm? Do you feel okay? Yeah, I am. Okay, we can work around this guy. Don't say anything baseball wise. He has to make sure that that is solely a conversation about something medical, so it does not count as a mound visit. And it seems like a little thing, but it could be a big thing. I mean, if you have a message you got to get across, and you don't have the visit left in that inning for your pitcher, then you're just going to have to hang with him.
Runners reach base in all 4 innings for the Cardinals. Now Dylan Carlson fly to left with 2 runners on. Back in the 2nd inning. And a pitch that's taken low and in.
And you wonder about this combination as a potential hit and run combination.
Outfield is deep. They are straight away. Carlson with a pair of home runs this season. He's driven in 11. And the 1-0 pitch. One ball, 1 strike. Rockies beat the Giants 5-4. That's key in terms of the wild card.
Sure is. We're so conditioned to watch the teams in the Central Division, but when you realize the wild card possibility, you have to watch what the Phillies are doing. You have to watch what the San Francisco Giants are doing, and they've been playing well lately. The Giants have. They were actually in the playoff picture as of this morning.
Phillies had a doubleheader. They dropped both 2 days ago. That was huge.
That was. And that put the Giants actually ahead of them. So waking up this morning, the Giants were a playoff team.
The 2-1 pitch to Dylan Carlson. And Carlson hits a high fly ball out to deep right field. It's at the wall. It is gone. Dylan Carlson, high towering shot. He kept it fair. A 2-run homer for the rookie. 3-1 St. Louis.
All we were wondering about was, would it stay fair? So forget the hit and run. How about the hit and trot? Towering home run to right field. His 3rd of his rookie season. And he knew it. He knew he had the distance. And would it stay fair? You bet it did.
Hit that as high as he did far. Boy, that's as high as I've seen him hit a ball. Maybe anybody this year. As Wong grounds out, retired for the first time, and the Cardinals have a 2-run lead.
The mental break the reset for Dylan Carlson was a great idea. Bringing him back from it was also a great idea.
And Ricky, since his recall, which was back in the on the 18th, leads the Cardinals in home runs, runs batted in with 8. And he's tied for 3rd in the National League with those 8 RBI. So he has made his presence felt in this lineup.
I think there's something wrong with Burns again. He's walking out towards center field right now. And again, the athletic trainer for the Brewers is coming out and he's shaking his head. Whatever he did, he knows he's done. My goodness, this is really bad for the Milwaukee Brewers' hopes. And don't know what it is, and you hope for the best for him. But a lot of their hopes for postseason play have been put at number 39. Oh boy.
Yeah, the catcher knew that's Nottingham and immediately calling out Craig Counsell. And so now he has to go to his bullpen. And that'll be Yardley, Eric Yardley, the right-hander for Milwaukee. Dylan Carlson with his 3rd in the big leagues. 3-1 St. Louis as we step aside. Take a look at our what's on tap. And it's Jack Flaherty. It's a doubleheader tomorrow. Josh Lindblom and Jack Flaherty, they'll come your way at 3:30. Bud Light Seltzer. What's on tap? And we'll have both games of the doubleheader. It's the first time that Burns had allowed a home run on that cutter this year, a pitch that had seen a 154 average against, 200 slugging percentage against. Really a top 5 rated pitch in all of baseball, and Dylan Carlson got it. So this is about as bad of news that you could get if you're Milwaukee. Not only be trailing in a game that they have to win, but to see him go out.
Double whammy this inning, definitely. And one of the big blows, of course, the Dylan Carlson home run, and you wonder the health of Burns, whether that led to pitches that were compromised, perhaps. I mean, he's tough. I mean, he may have just lost, and you would have to say he probably did lose the chance that he would have to be the Cy Young Award winner in the National League with this outing today. And the Brewers are hoping they didn't lose something bigger than that. You just think about the psyche right now of the Brewers. Their top dog just left the game hurt, and you're in your final week. I mean, that's a real gut check for them.
No question. So Yardley is in. Count of 1-0 on Tommy Edman. One ball, one strike. Edman is being called out on strikes back in the first, and a single to right. Hit out of play. So he loses the chance for the ERA title. He will not be able to catch Bauer with that. Trevor Bauer was going on short day's rest and was just dominant in the performance last night. There's a swing and a miss. So the home run hit by Dylan Carlson. 2-run homer after the walk to Fowler. 3-1 St. Louis.
2-run shot by that guy, Dylan Carlson, and the Cardinals lead at 3-1 in St. Louis. KK faced the Brewers back on September 14th. He threw 7 scoreless innings, wasn't involved in the decision. He really impressed Brewers manager Craig Counsell. Counsell told me before the game, Kim clearly knows what he's doing. He obviously has a feel for his pitches. Last time against us, he did a really nice job of keeping the ball out of the middle of the plate. Guys like that are trouble when they can do that. He's going to mix speeds, and he's going to give you different looks. Danny, Counsell called KK a pitch maker, and he has been every bit of that tonight.
Well, we've been talking about it. Mixing speeds, changes eye levels, and strike one.
Yeah, strike one's so important. And again, you throw 70% first pitch strikes. I think that's a good number to shoot for. And it seems like Kim is there every start.
8-9-1 in the lineup for Milwaukee, now trailing 3-1. Top of 5. Urias, Nottingham, Garcia. Cardinals will have Goldschmidt, Carpenter, and Molina. Molina searching for hit number 2,000 coming up in the bottom of the 5th. He just joined us, had an infield hit for hit number 1,999 back in inning number 2.
And whenever that moment happens, and I hope it does happen in the bottom of the 5th inning, that'll be one of those moments where I wish there was a crowd here.
Place would go nuts. There's Carpenter. And they get him by a step. Isn't flashy, but Carpenter will make the plays down at third. Jacob Nottingham will be the batter.
He had a very busy game against the Kansas City Royals. He said in his post-game Zoom call he doesn't remember having that many plays in one game in his life. I mean, he had and that was a game, interestingly enough, the Cardinals played terrific defense. You mentioned earlier Cardinals have had the best defense in baseball. Well, they're not as far as fielding percentage is concerned, but that's not the only metric for defense. And I think the analytics of what makes a good defensive team, the analytics has really helped us describe that and understand that. The out of zone plays, the defensive runs saved, and that's where the Cardinals are. DRS, defensive runs saved. That is the best in baseball, and that's really a description of how many runs do you save. It's as it's put above the norm, and for the Cardinals to make a couple of errors in that game against Kansas City, yet they defended well, and Carpenter made one of those errors, but he had a terrific game defensively, I thought.
That's why the Cardinals are in this spot. Pitching would be number 1, but defense, I think, number 2.
Outfield defense. Of course, we know Bader's a good defender, but Dylan Carlson is. I think Fowler's had a good year defensively. Tyler O'Neill's played well in left. His metrics are good as far as range is concerned.
That's fouled back. 2-2 the count. A lot of that too is the coaching staff putting them in the right spots. I mean, how many times in the shift have you seen that too? 2-2 pitch, fouled back again. So the Cardinals with Flaherty and Daniel Ponce de Leon going in the doubleheader, then Adam Wainwright. He's set to go Saturday in his final regular season start. That's hit a mile high. Nottingham clearly not happy with the result. Catch made by Dylan Carlson in shallow center.
Well, you can read people pretty well, Dan.
Well, with no crowd, sometimes you don't have to read them, you just have to hear them. And Garcia will be the batter. He's tapped back to the pitcher, Kim, and also lined out to first.
I believe I heard him say I popped it up.
Could have been that. Maybe I misread it or misheard it. 3-1 our score. And a rare walk issued by Kim.
Well,
so the 2-out walk, and now Yelich.
Yeah, you hate the walk in front of Yelich, especially. He's just pulling the ball across his body a little bit, 3 in a row. In fact, couldn't make that adjustment, but needs to adjust here with Yelich. Yelich can hit a mistake. He can certainly hit more than that, but if you make a mistake to him, he'll be ready for it.
Big curveball drops in for a strike. He is grounded out to first and grounded out to second. 0 for 2. And that is fouled back. Just has had problems getting on track. Cardinals have pitched him tough, but that's not to say that all of a sudden, boom, he walks into one and this game is tied. And the adjustment where it's been tough on him, the breaking pitch. You make a good breaking pitch to him. That's where the Cardinals have had their success. But you hang one, watch out. Fastball doesn't get the call, and Kim wanted it. 1-2. Brewers are trying to make the playoffs for the 3rd straight year, something they have never done. In the World Series against St. Louis in 1982. Cardinals got them in 2011. 6 games in the National League Championship Series. Dale Porter, the MVP of 1982. And David Freese, NLCS and then World Series MVP. Memorable October run.
And Cardinal fans never forget their October heroes.
Giovanni Gallegos throwing in the pen, and Yachty couldn't keep it in front. That'll advance Garcia to second.
I think the bar was set on October baseball performance by Bob Gibson on the pitching side and Lou Brock on the hitting side.
You bet.
And of course, World Series before that in the 40s, 20s.
From 0-2 to 2-2 on Yelich. Strikeout rate this year is at 32%. Last year was at 20%. And that is tapped foul. The scoreboard has 2-2, but Yachty signaling to the field that indeed it is 3-2, I believe. Making sure, and then Yelich confirmed that as well. Next pitch to him, fouled back. Good rip.
I haven't been able to fully confirm this, but it appears to me that Kim has been, instead of using a card, telling Yachty which sign by putting his fingers on his arm. And I just think that's a smart way to do it. The runner at second base can't see it. So it doesn't, as long as he can't see it, it doesn't matter. If he's telling Yachty when he comes set that he wants the second sign or the third sign or whatever he might want, and he just did it, you don't need a card. And the cards were for series of signs that they would change because of the runner at second. I think Kim has given us a different way for pitchers and catchers to communicate.
And the check swing and did not go. So back-to-back walks. Tying runs are aboard, and this is where it gets dangerous because Ryan Braun is swinging the hottest bat in their lineup and one of the hottest bats in baseball.
Interesting that Gallegos is first man up for the Cardinals, and Mike Schultz saying before the game he does not have really at the moment a classic closer situation. Just a bunch of guys that he's not afraid to go to, and it depends on the day and the matchups, etc. Gallegos looked like he was just maybe just getting the kinks out, not throwing now.
Mentioned that Braun 29 career home runs against the Cardinals, and the month of September slugging percentage as good as it's been since 2008. Second only to 1 month that he had. That's 1 month better that he had in that year of 08. Inside.
Feel like the game's right here.
2 balls, no strikes, and with that, Yadi calls time. Kim had not topped 90 pitches until his last start in Pittsburgh. Threw a career high 103, and he's at 95 here.
You know, I often thought this, and as our home plate umpire goes out to break up this conversation, I always thought there should be a little bit of an allowance for the fact that it's actually a three-way conversation when you have an interpreter out there.
And that's Craig, the interpreter.
So instead of saying, okay, I'm going to let him talk for 20 seconds, maybe you need to let him talk for 40 seconds because it's not that easy to get that communicated. And whether that's an interpreter speaking Spanish or Korean, whatever it might be, it just takes longer.
2-0 the count. Ryan Braun. Braun, as we mentioned earlier, not in their lineup yesterday, been dealing with a sore back. Also a pretty good time to take a day off with Trevor Bauer dealing. And he was dealing yesterday. First and second, the 2-1 pitch. Now 2-2. And maybe the most important pitch of the night right here for Kim.
That's one of the great things about September baseball. It feels like every pitch becomes important. We know that about playoffs. I mean, that's a fact about the playoffs. Just the excitement, the energy about every at bat and every run scored. But it's starting to feel more and more like that.
This could be the final pitch of the night for Kim. Not sure you want Jerko to face a lefty with Gallegos loose, hot, ready to go in the pen.
Finish
one
strong.
way or another right here. In the air, shallow right, Fowler under it, and has it. The Brewers strand a pair. Coming up, Goldschmidt, Carpenter, Molina. 3-1 Cardinals. Congratulate the Cardinals 2020 Hall of Fame class. Tom Hurd, John Tudor, Bill White, Edward Jones, proud to partner with the Cardinals to recognize the organization's most cherished assets. They're Hall of Famers. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Goldschmidt, Carpenter, and then Yadier Molina, 1 hit shy of 2,000. So here is Yardley, got the final out in the bottom half of the 4th. And he is in relief of Burns, who had to leave and apparently was hurt. We still don't have the official word as to why he left the game, but did have to leave. 3-1 our score. Dylan Carlson, a 2-run homer to break a 1-1 tie. Goldschmidt picked up the first run in this ball game, a single to center that drove in Colton Wong. Was just announced lower back discomfort for Corbin Burns.
That sounds better if I'm a Brewers fan or a fan of baseball or a fan of the human race than to say that it's an elbow issue or a shoulder issue.
Anything with the arm.
Oh my goodness, I think that's actually good news. I'm happy for him. Not that he's hurt, but that it's not his arm. He's a special talent. He really is.
You know, he came in with the most significant drop in the history of baseball in ERA.
8.8.
Yeah. Prior to that had been Roy Halladay. 3-1. 3-2. So the long road trip, the Cardinals, I guess the best way to put it, Ricky, they survived. It was 5 Milwaukee, 5 in Pittsburgh, then the 3.
Yeah,
you know,
that's a good way to say it. They survived.
They survived.
They treaded water.
3-2 pitch. Missed low and a leadoff walk. Cardinals have received 3 walks tonight.
And now 4 out of 5 innings to have their leadoff runner aboard. Well, Danny, you've heard me say this before many times. The battle cry in the clubhouse and the dugout when you're in a game like this. I bet I've said it 5,000 times over the years. Más carreras, more runs. And you didn't even have to really be a guy that spoke Spanish to know what that meant. More runs. Never have enough.
We got to figure with this type of motion, a left-handed batter would pick up Yardley fairly well.
No doubt. You're right-handed and he comes from down there. It's tough to pick up the baseball, but you see it from the left side much better.
Carpenter hit one to the wall. Fine play by Tyrone Taylor in right. Took a hit away with 2 runners on. And he also struck out swinging back in the first. Yardley claimed off of waivers over the winter. Made his first opening day roster at nearly 30 years of age. And I was telling you before the game the amazing number of players that have made a major league debut this year.
Yeah. Oh, you stumped me, didn't you?
204 as of yesterday. 204 players have made a major league debut. It's an incredible amount for a truncated season. I mean, we're not even at 60 games yet.
We've always been on top of that number. I don't know what it is right now, frankly, somewhere around 18,000, 19,000 people who've ever played the game.
At this level.
At this level. At 200 new ones. 204 to be exact.
2-1. So back-to-back walks, and in steps Molina.
There would have been people here at the ballpark that had bought a ticket to tonight's game just to see perhaps Yachty getting his 2,000th career hit.
This place would have been absolutely packed. So room on the right side, and this is the kind of hit that he just pokes through the right side. Molina taps it foul. A sidewinder. You know, you stay in on him and just stroke it to right field. Infield hit back in inning number 2 and struck out in the 3rd. Goldschmidt at second base, Carpenter at first. The 0-1 pitch. And Molina pops it up on the infield fly. And Yachty is 1 for 3. The batter is Brad Miller. Miller with a single to center and lined out to first. Catches the outside corner. Gallegos getting loose in the Cardinals pen.
Been anxious to watch him pitch again. The last time we saw him, which is his first time after coming off the injured list, he was not really sharp. Wasn't the Gallegos that we known. The slider especially did not have kind of the right release point to it. He was pulling it into the ground, or either pulling it into the ground or hanging it. And so I hope he's gotten that ironed out. It's just great to have him back. He has such a big upside for what he can do to the Cardinals pen, but boy, other guys out there have certainly done a good job in his absence.
Well, last night essentially the Cardinals had their full complement of players after COVID had hit the team. Now they don't have Brebbia, they don't have Michaelis, but they had Martinez back, they had Cody Whitley back, Gallegos, Gant, other guys that have been injured or at least had to miss some time. 2-1. And Miller grounds it to second. A flip out there, back to first, and not in time. Runners at the corners now for St. Louis with 2 outs. So be Paul DeYoung. Corey Knebel is getting loose in the pen.
Let's see if that last at bat for Paul DeYoung, where he drove the ball in the left center field gap, may have gotten him back on track a bit, confidence-wise, or just seeing the baseball. You know, sometimes just the right swing, and you say, "Oh, there it is." Anybody who golfs knows what that feels like. It's like, "Oh, there's the right tempo, the right weight shift. My hands are in the right spot." All that. He didn't get a hit, but it was certainly a good swing.
DeYoung is 0 for his last 16. So he flied out to deep left, stung the ball last time. That was the first time with authority he's hit the ball. Runners at the corners, the 1-0. Jammed, popped up. Hira with the catch. Cardinals strand a pair. They have left 7 on in this game. We played 5. It's 3-1. His night is through, and the BJC Healthcare difference maker.
He was good from the get-go. He got the ball in the infield early on, got a couple of strikeouts along the way, and had a couple of jams that he had to work out of, and he is a pitch maker, and he made the pitches when he needed to. A couple of walks, 3 strikeouts, but the important run total is what matters. Just 1 run in 5 innings. He gives way to Giovanni Gallegos, who is our Chevy call to the bullpen. 2 days of rest for Gallegos. We talked about his last time out was a little rusty, but it is great to have him back. He may work into that closer role again at some point, but Mike Schilt looking for the opportunities to use him and ease him back towards that.
Jed Jerko leads it off in the 6th inning. Jerko, Hira, and Taylor. And there's a strike. Yeah, to your point about Gallegos, a lot of pitches in the dirt the other night.
Yeah, he was just spiking the curveball. He throws a spiked curve. He calls it a slider, but it acts more like a curveball. Goes straight down, but he was pulling it into the ground, overcooking it, and then he'd make the adjustment, and then he would just leave it up in the zone. So that it just kind of couldn't quite get the release point.
And the 1-1 pitch to Jerko. Jed tonight with the strikeout swinging. Grounded into a fielder's choice and has scored the only run for Milwaukee. Nasty pitch right there. Evens it up at 2-2.
When I watch Gallegos throw a slider, I think I'm watching Bruce Sutter throwing a split finger. Because it goes down like that. I mean, it's a different pitch, but it has that late action. It starts out down in the zone and disappears.
2-2.
I asked him.
Out of play.
I've asked him. I said, is that? I mean, it's a curveball, right? I mean, it's going. And he said, no, a slider. So he gets to name whatever pitch. He can call it whatever he wants. I don't care.
It's his choice.
It's his choice.
The 2-2. Lifted in the air out to center. Going back, Carlson makes the catch. Cardinals are proud to partner with Wells Fargo Advisors. Thank them for continuing to serve the community through their contributions to Cardinals Care. Keston Hira, loop single to right and a single to center, 2 for 2.
I held my breath on that last pitch. It was a 2-2 pitch, and the call was for fastball in, and I'm thinking he better get it in.
Yeah.
On Jed Jerko.
And he hit that hard too.
He sure did. You know, Gallegos throws hard. That last pitch 95 miles an hour. But you'd be hard pressed to find a reliever in baseball that doesn't throw 95 now.
That's true.
Not many are just sinker slider guys. They just rush it up there.
And as we know, Gallegos traded for Luke Voit. What a year that Luke has had with the Yankees. "21 home runs, 49 runs batted in for New York, and they are headed to postseason play again." I'm not sure we get enough credit to what Toronto has done.
They clinched the spot today.
Right.
And that's a tough, the American League East.
Blue Jays beat the Yankees 4-1. They're playing their games in Buffalo, so essentially living out of a suitcase there.
Yeah.
That's quite a story too. You know,
you talk about the stories. There's going to be a lot of stories after the playoffs are over, but you look at the way the World Series lays out right now. This is if the season ended today. Of course, you've got the American League games going on out in Los Angeles out in California, and Toronto now clinching a spot.
2-2 pitch. Popped up. Out of play.
But the stories that will be written, Dan, you said is a great story about Toronto. One of the complexities of what's going on in the baseball world, and really a lot of people's world, is not being able to communicate as much. So think about like the life of a Cardinal player right now, what they're doing. Yes, they're on Zoom calls, but we're going to know more and more as time goes on about what this year was like for them. I think there's going to be a lot of stories that will be written looking through the rearview mirror at 2020. Some pretty spectacular things. I think we'll understand better what the player's going through. We can imagine it, but I think the reality of what their day-to-day life is like, you know, so I hear they're in a hotel room for 14 days in Milwaukee, and then I hear, well, they were throwing baseballs up against a mattress and a pillow in their hotel room. I mean, I hear that and I can picture that a little bit, but there has to be several other things that they've dealt with that we're just not aware of yet.
3-2. Season ticket holders of the game: Kimberly Larson, Brian Murphy, Tom and Patrick Maui. Also Bob Sontag, dealing with a tough time and battling through some different ailments. Want to see him at the ballpark next year.
You bet.
And we thank you for your continued dedication to the St. Louis Cardinals. Swing and a miss, strikeout. By the way, Kim is done for the night, so he finishes the regular season as of now. Don't know if he'd have to come back on short days rest potentially Monday, or how the Cardinals would play it, but 6 earned in 38 innings of work over 7 starts. It's a 1.42 ERA.
Outstanding.
So first strikeout for Gallegos and Tyrone Taylor. Strike one.
Boy, this is big to get Gallegos back into the flow. You know, he was certainly in the flow last year. I mean, he was as good as anybody, and the Cardinal closer to start things off this year, and he can be a critical arm in the bullpen. Very different than he was a couple of days ago. Would you agree?
For sure. I mean, we saw probably 7 or 8 balls that were in the dirt with that breaking pitch, curveball, slider, whatever you want to call it, but it was pulling it down like you talked about, not sharp.
It's an S-slider. S-slider.
There you go. 1-2.
Not a curva, an S-slider. Very likable guy, Gallegos.
One and two the count. Swing and a miss in the strikeout. Good work by Gallegos. The key game in the Central, Milwaukee and St. Louis. And the Cardinals a 3-1 lead. This copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the Cardinals. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. Corey Knebel into the ball game for the Milwaukee Brewers, and now finally recovered from an arm issue and some surgery, and they really believe he's developed another pitch, and he looks good.
Out all of 2019 and was their closer in 2017. Pre-Josh Hader days, he had 39 saves and a 1.78 ERA in 2017, and he was in 78 games. He was in there day after day after day, and I know they're happy to have him back.
Here's a 1-1. Check that now. 1 ball and 2 strikes. 2-1 the count. Now 3-1.
Leadoff base runner again.
Does anybody know the count?
It's, I believe, 3-2 right now, but I could be wrong.
Okay. And there's ball 4.
We may never know.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Leadoff walk, and here's Dylan Carlson. Back in the 4th. Statcast. He knew it. This is presented by Google Cloud. High towering home run. Launch angle 41 degrees.
That one almost went off the grid for Statcast there if he hit it any higher. McGuire used to hit him like that every once in a while. I think he had about 70 of those.
He'd hit him high and he'd hit him far. Real far. So leadoff walk for Dexter, and now Dylan Carlson 1 for 2 with the 2-run homer. And the 1-0 pitch to Carlson. So we mentioned that he's driven in 8 since he's been recalled, and that's in the top 3 in all of baseball since that time. 7 for 23.
And the Dylan Carlson that we've seen since he's been back is the Dylan Carlson that we've seen in spring training the past couple of years. And you know, the bad numbers in the first part were a little bit skewed by the fact that he hit in such bad luck the first 2 weeks. Now after that he did struggle. And so I do think it was the right thing for them to send him out, kind of get his confidence back, get his head straight, and important to have some bats up and down the lineup that are producing. Can't just have a couple of guys get it done.
And the 1-2 pitch to Dylan Carlson. Instead, a check on Fowler. One, 2 up and in. 2-2. So Cardinal base runner on in every inning, and 5 of the 6 with the leadoff hitter on. Kept in front.
Whoa. How'd he block that one? Sheriff of Nottingham did a nice job of blocking this one. Moving to his right, and wow, he had to be really quick to do that because there's not a lot of reaction time to make that play.
And the 3-2 pitch. Follow your runner at first base. He's not running, and that's lifted in the air, slicing into the gap in left center field. That ball is down. One hopper off the wall, gets away. Here comes Fowler, racing to the plate. No throw. Dexter Fowler will score, and Dylan Carlson is driven in 3. 4-1 Cardinals.
Well, Carlson showed his power to right field. Now we've seen it to left center, and the Cardinals got a good bounce off the wall that allowed Dexter Fowler to score. First of all, it doesn't bounce over the wall. It would have been a ground rule double, but our Nissan drive of the game, Dylan Carlson. And as the ball hit off the wall, it bounced over the head of Garcia so that by the time he got to it, Dex was able to score from first.
It ties his career high with 3 runs batted in. It's opened up a 4-1 lead here in the 6th inning for St. Louis. So the home run hit down the right field line, and now a double in the gap in left center. The batter is Colton Wong. He is walked, singled, and grounded out. Has a run scored. Room on the left side. Wong bunting. It's a beauty. Will it stay fair? No. Rolls foul. Picked up by Urias in foul territory.
Wong's become such a good bunter, and here's the deal. You're going to bunt for a base hit. You're going to bunt for it to be near the line towards foul territory, and you're not going to make a mistake towards the pitcher. And that's what they teach you. If you're bunting for a hit, aim for that line or just inside of it. And Wong came very close to a bunt base hit there. Now, he certainly would have taken the sacrifice that might have gone along with it, but if you're going to sacrifice, it's a different kind of bunt. But the last thing he wanted to do is bunt the ball back to the pitcher. He's become very, very good at getting that ball down. He might try it again.
And the 0-1 pitch. Now the corners are in. So at least you open up some hitting lanes here.
And when you get excited about what you can do bunting, the other option is to bunt the ball to the second baseman, the drag bunt. But there you've got to get it past the first baseman.
In the air and fouled back.
Or you can do that. He was trying to bunt the ball over the third baseman's head. I really do think he was thinking, not deadening. He wouldn't look like he was deadening the ball there. I think he was trying to push that ball to the left side of the field past the third baseman, not in front of him.
And the 1-2 pitch to Colton Wong. Popped up. Shortstop Arcia going out, and he'll make the catch. And now Tommy Edman. Single to right, and also has struck out twice.
Looks like we'll see Genesis Cabrera for the 7th inning, and Be interesting to see how Mike Schilt decides to go with his bullpen. He has been using some of his relievers for an inning plus. They say an inning and a third or an inning and 2/3, so he can bridge and get 3 innings out of 2 relievers instead of 3 innings out of 3 relievers.
And a ground ball that's hit to second. It's Paul Goldschmidt and then Carpenter. Cardinals are 1 for 14 with runners in scoring position tonight. That'll be it for Knebel. Topa is coming on, and so he'll face Paul Goldschmidt with a runner at third when we come back. Stop Colin Team. Help create a world without cancer. 100% of your gift will fund cancer research. Pedalthecause.org. So a new pitcher is in with 2 outs and a runner at third. And the Cardinals leading by the score of 4-1. Paul Goldschmidt, the batter. Justin Topa is in. 4 1/3 innings so far this season in 4 games.
High K rate for Topa, and that's what Craig Counsell's looking for here to get through this inning. I wonder if he has a strong pitch count for Knebel, just to make sure
I would imagine
they don't overuse him. I wondered why he's out of this game, but that may be it.
Topa hits 100 on the first pitch to Paul Goldschmidt.
I guess he's loose.
That gets your attention.
Give me a bat.
Good luck.
Swing right about now.
99 on that pitch. Every Cardinal has an at bat with runners in scoring position tonight.
To be young and throwing 100.
The 2-1 pitch. 2-2. Got a little movement to it too.
$100-mile-an-hour sinker.
Carpenter on deck. 3-2 the count here on Paul Goldschmidt. And he struck him out. No argument from Paul, and the Cardinals get the 3rd run batted in by Dylan Carlson tonight. This makes it a 4-1 St. Louis lead.
Martinez goes on the 10-day IL with a left oblique strain. Mike Schilt saying it's doubtful that Carlos could return for any possible postseason action. Rough year for Martinez, but Schilt says there is a good reason. Carlos had battled COVID. Schilt said, and Ricky pointed this out earlier, there was probably no one in baseball affected by COVID more than Martinez. He was in the ER multiple days. Schilt said at one point Carlos was just concerned about his personal well-being. It's kind of tough to come back from something like that and not get a chance to pitch a lot. I mean, he was on multiple IV for days. Could have been a contributing factor, but Danny, it appears the season is over for Carlos.
And it's his Cabrera, owner of a 121 average against. 4th among all rookies into the ballgame. Number 1 on that list, by the way, the St. Louis native Devin Williams. So a key to beating the Brewers Don't let Devin Williams come in with a lead. Don't get Hader into a ball game.
100% right. And you get into this part of the game, and that was really the secret to Milwaukee, and it's the secret to a lot of teams that play deep into October. They get their bullpen straight, and then you get a lead into the 6th or 7th, game's over. And that just is such a kind of a great flow if you can get there, and the Cardinals are kind of looking for their right combination going forward. But Cabrera, one of those left-handers we highlighted in our open that are really making a contribution to this Cardinal team. You think of what Webb has done, Miller, Cabrera, Gomber, Kim, 5 lefties. 5 lefties, all having good years.
Swing and a miss. Arcia lined out to right. Urias, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Two and 2.
Cabrera threw a pitch very similar to that to Kevin Newman with the Pirates.
Yeah,
very similar.
And he went down hard.
Oh my goodness.
Little chopper hit up the middle. Tough play. Wong went with the bare hand, couldn't come up with it. Infield hit.
When this happens, a pitcher right about now knows, uh-oh, it's going to be a hit. And Wong felt that he had no chance to go glove to hand, and he had to try to barehand it and just couldn't come up with it. I think the right choice. Wasn't hit very hard. Do or die play.
Here's Jacob Nottingham. Fly to center and also struck out. Strike 1. Cardinals turn to 5-4-3 double play back in the 2nd. Cardinals about hit the Brewers 7-6, lead 4-1.
I believe that last pitch was a hard changeup, 90 miles an hour.
As you said, everybody's coming in throwing 95 or better. That's at 96. The combination of Cabrera, then Alex Reyes, and probably John Gant or Miller in the back end. Watch out, 96 again inside, backs him up.
That got his attention.
Hard not to. Cabrera in the month of August had 7 games, ERA of 4.32. And 1.59 ERA in September, and that's held on to by Molina.
There's the changeup again. The foul tip. Yadi getting it before it hits the dirt. Showing it to the umpire. Well done.
So 2 away. And here's Garcia. He is walked, lined out, and grounded out. And a ground ball to short to Young. Up with it and makes the play. Coming up, Carpenter, Molina looking for hit number 2000, and Miller. Time to stretch. Now open for the 2021 Cardinals calendar. Fundraising partnerships, schools, teams, churches, groups of all sizes throughout Cardinals Nation can participate and raise significant revenue and earn fantastic sales incentives. 345-9303 or Cardinals.com. Publications at Cardinals.com. This is the Gateway Honda home run inning. Cardinals hit a home run. The Gateway Honda dealers donate $1,000 to the Make-A-Wish Foundation of Missouri. Topa, his second inning of work, and a strike to Carpenter. Struck out, fly to deep right, and walked. 4-1 Cardinals, trying to go 2 games in front of Milwaukee with what could be just 4 to play against the Brewers. Cardinals, if they could win, would then go 3 or a half game in front of Cincinnati, and what, 2.5 then behind Chicago.
Correct.
It's still a ways to go. Fastball and a strike at 98. Molina on deck, and then it'll be Brad Miller. There's a look at the National League playoff picture if the season ended today. Cardinals and Padres. Mike Clevenger dealing with a bicep injury. They acquired him from Cleveland. The 1-2 pitch. Inside corner, missed. 2-2.
This pitcher, Justin Topa, went to college at Long Island University in New York. Spent 2 years in independent ball with ERAs in the 3s and the 4s. And here he is throwing 100 in the big leagues. That's perseverance,
I'd say. But with this arm, why is he in an independent ball?
Well, it's perseverance and a good weight program,
Right.
apparently. His strengthening program. He was an A ball last year, actually got the AA some, and figured it out. You know, there are times from Binghamton, New York, there are times where the northern players will come on late. They don't have the same kind of experience.
Weather.
Because of weather.
And there's a strikeout of Carpenter, and here comes Molina. So you have a guy throwing 100, a hitter that loves to go to right, and they shift on Yadier Molina. Room on the right side.
Jerko's moving over to take away some of that room. He knows Yadi. He just moved about 4 giant steps to his right.
And strike 1 on Molina. That pitch at 98. Yadi tonight, the infield hit, picked up hit number 1,999. Struck out swinging in the 3rd and popped out in the 4th. Here's the 0-1 pitch to Molina. 0-2. Oh, 2 pitch to Molina. Taken outside. One ball and 2 strikes on Yadier Molina. The next to him. Shoots it foul.
Oh, he was trying to do exactly what you said, trying to hit the ball the other way. Kept his hands back, hands inside the ball. Outfield is straight away, and a 1-2 pitch to Yadier Molina.
And again trying to shoot it to right.
I think I'd have to move over a little bit if I was Hira, the second baseman.
He's backed up maybe a step
He
or
has.
two.
But that hole between first and second, we've seen Yadi do it so many times.
The 1-2 pitch. The check swing did not go. Evens it up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. His teammates watching intently from the dugout. Two-two pitch. Molina serves it into right center. There it is. Hit number 2,000 for Yadier Molina, the 12th catcher in the history of Major League Baseball with 2,000 hits. One of the greatest ever to put on a Cardinals uniform. And there it is. Hit number 2,000 for Yadi.
Yadi taking it the other way, and that was not a cheap one. He hit that one right on the nose, and he's all smiles. He knew it right away, and the Cardinals dugout just erupts. They know how important he is to them, to the Cardinal franchise, and now to baseball history, because that, in my view, cements the Hall of Fame career of Yadier Molina.
Couldn't agree more. He's undoubtedly one of the greatest players in the history of this franchise, and now he's got 2,000 hits, all with that uniform on. That is something special too. Great moment here at the ballpark. So a 2-hit night, another multi-hit game for Yadier Molina.
You think Benji and Polo were excited next door at the Spanish broadcast of that moment?
I know one of them definitely was.
Oh, I bet they both were. You bet.
The strike to Miller. To think it all started way back when for Yadier Molina. 2004 called up. We'd heard about this great young defensive player, and that's what he was. I mean, he's just cannon for an arm, incredible defensive player. And a light hitting catcher. He was a light hitting catcher at that time.
Well, there's some similarities in the career of Yadier Molina and Ozzie Smith. You think about Ozzie when he first came to the big leagues. You know, Whitey Herzog wanted him from the San Diego Padres because of his defense. He said, this guy's going to make my pitchers better, and I'm going to win with this guy. So he wanted him desperately. Was able to get Ozzie to St. Louis, but he was a low 200 hitter at the time. But he made himself into an outstanding hitter, a Hall of Famer. And so it was more than just the glove for Ozzie Smith. And that's true with Yadi also.
DeYoung with a base hit inside the right field line. And Yadi to third. He'll be held up, and Paul DeYoung, boy, he needed that. Gets the base hit into right. It's a double. And another chance with the runner in scoring position for the Cardinals.
Still feel that Paul DeYoung is at his best when he's getting hits to right field. When he's taking the ball the other way, staying on it. Not that the home runs don't matter, because he'll get his share of those, but being closed enough, front shoulder there, he's driving the ball the other way and not opening up. Good example of it there.
So that double, every Cardinals starter has reached base tonight. It snaps an 0 for 18 for Paul DeJong. So a couple things with DeJong. Stung the ball to left field, which was good. Hit it with authority. And now, as you mentioned, going to right. And if you see those two things, maybe it's clicking. Maybe. Ray Black is warming up for the Brewers. And the next to Dexter Fowler. Boy, base hit would be big here. The 1-2.
I think you made an interesting point, and it's happening again here. You've got a guy throwing 100 miles an hour, yet you've got a huge shift on a left-handed batter. I think gone are the days where you'd say, well, he's not going to be able to get around on somebody. Big league hitters get around on everybody. And so they're still giving him the left side of the infield. Doesn't mean Fowler can't kind of stay back just a tad and try to hit it that way. But big league hitters can, I mean, I hear them talk about it, the hitting coaches, and even the pitching coaches understand that it doesn't really, it kind of doesn't matter how hard you throw. They'll figure it out. They'll figure out how to time you eventually. And that's why you have to change speeds and move it around, put a little wrinkle on it. But there's the shift on Fowler.
The 1-2. Fouled back. You can only imagine what the fan base would have done with a packed house tonight. Man, oh man.
Well, you just think about what that means to Yadi's friends and family and admirers in Puerto Rico. And anybody who's ever played with Yadi. I mean, there's something special about saying it. You know, I played with a guy that reached a milestone, and I mean, it just, you're as happy for him as you can be.
There's only 12 catchers that have done that ever. Primary catchers in the game of baseball with 2,000.
And I think if I saw our full screen accurately, only 4 in the National League.
Yes. And a strikeout of Dexter Fowler. But this inning's about Yadi. 2,000 hits. Little wave to his brother up at the radio booth. Fist bump. Teammates love it. And history. 2,000 for number 4. Yadier Molina with hit number 2,000. Congratulations to Yadi. They just played that up on the video board, and again his teammates gave him a nice round of applause, and still some smiles behind home plate.
I had a chance to congratulate Benji in between innings. Ran over there and said felicitaciones, and he was all smiles. He said we kind of went crazy on the call.
That's great.
And I said, good for you.
That's
as
great.
You should.
Yep. Good stuff. 4-1 our score. We're in the top of the 8th, second inning for Cabrera. And here is Christian Yelich, followed by Braun and Jerko.
A lot of
big inning here.
Yeah, and a lot of the Cardinals have their defensive team in right now. A lot of changes. Bader in center. And O'Neill has moved to play left field. Carlson to right. Edmund to third. Defense first when you get to this part of the game. Catch it and throw it.
And that pitch popped up a mile high into shallow left. O'Neill coming on, but there is DeYoung, and Paul DeYoung with the catch. And that's the first out here in the top of the 8th. Christian Yelich 0 for 3 with a walk. And brings in Ryan Braun. So 160 home runs. Tonight is 534th multi-hit game. 7 triples for Yachty. 380 doubles, which tied him with Johnny Bench last night. And now 2,000 base hits in the career of Yadier Molina. Well done. Reyes coming on, and it's 4-1. The pen for St. Louis. Cardinals 5 outs away from going 2 in front of Milwaukee with 4 to play against the Brewers.
Alex has really been bringing it out of the Cardinals bullpen. He's got the high K rate too, and is settled into really attacking the strike zone better, I think. I just feel like he's kind of regained that form where he was the hard throwing phenom, and several injuries. We all know about that. He's past that, but now he's kind of past it in terms of, I think, the confidence level to just attack the zone with his stuff. Stuff was a little short in spring training, frankly. But I think after the layoff, came back to summer camp, and it's just kind of the Alex Reyes that we were expecting.
Here's Ryan Braun, who is grounded out to short, singled to left and flied to right. And a curveball drops in for a strike. Pitching, pitching, pitching. Name of the game, and the Cardinals have that, and they've been at it again tonight. 6 Brewers hits. Key spot in this game was Braun up. Runners at first and second. Back in the 5th, KK
on the ropes.
On the ropes. Tight game, and was able to get him to hit a lazy fly to right, and they were out of the jam.
Or if you're Milwaukee, it's the guy you wanted up there.
It's going to be fascinating in 2021 where the Cardinals position Alex Reyes. Is he a starter?
Yeah.
Is he a dominant reliever? Here's a 1-2 pitch. Another breaking ball, and doesn't get the call.
What does Gomber do? What does Ponce de Leon do?
And it's just Cabrera, Ryan Helsley. There's the fastball at 99.
John Gant. You have a lot of guys that have kind of done both.
Carlos Martinez again. Hearing Jim's report and what he talked about and the severity of what he went through.
So what we're suggesting is you just go with 9 or 10 starters next year. Jake Woodford.
Another one. Swing and a miss. 99 on the gun from Alex.
Well, that's what they call the high hard one. Whew. Boom. Explosion. 99 up in the zone. You can't catch up to it.
Here's Jed Jerko. Doubleheader tomorrow. He's had 7 pitches here. If he has a quick at bat with Jerko, it can get him. Do you think about sending him back out there for the ninth?
Well, it's what we were talking about earlier, that Genesis, Cabrera, and Reyes have been into that kind of 1+ innings, and they're trying to get. I think that's been kind of a genius thing that Mike Schilt has done to try to get 3 innings out of the 2 of them. I mean, that's happened several times, and so I think you at least start with Alex, and let him get 4 or 5 outs, see where he is, see what the score is, and see who's up.
Here's a 1-2 pitch to Jed Jerko. Just off the plate.
And again, the point is, why use 3 pitchers when you can use 2? Over 3 innings of work. If one goes an inning and 2/3, the other an inning and a third.
And you got to cover 14 tomorrow.
Yes.
Now again, you got to win this game.
Right.
You want to put the Brewers 2 behind with the 4 to play, but
I think you're at a point now, if you're Mike Schilt, your best foot forward is, well, you can pick a foot, because it could be Cabrera. I mean, you're comfortable with him. It could be Reyes. It could be Andrew Miller. It could be Gallegos now. Could be John Gant. I mean, you've got a lot of choices where you're like, well, yeah, that works.
Oh boy. There's a walk to Jerko. This one just got away, clearly. So here's Hiram.
Mike Schilt was asked before the game, does he like to have this interchangeable group of relievers, or would he prefer to have the set 7th, 8th, 9th guy? And he said, well, kind of a yes and no answer to that. I mean, I do like it, and it especially when you're playing a lot of games, you know, day after day, you can have guys you feel comfortable with. But he did say there is something about having that feeling when you get to the end of the game that you know who's coming, and you work your way backwards from your closer to set up your bullpen. And ultimately you want to get there, but with all the Cardinals have been through with their games, they just couldn't really do that.
Popped up. Goldschmidt with room, makes the catch, sends us to the home half of the 8th. 4-1 St. Louis.
Pitcher number 5 for Milwaukee. 20 pitches thrown yesterday for the right-hander. Another hard thrower, and we've seen nothing but that from Milwaukee. 4-1 Cardinals. They have out-hit the Brewers 9-6. Dylan Carlson has been the star on the offensive side for St. Louis, and this is how he did it. Carlson, a big fly down the right field line, the 2-run shot that came in the 4th inning. Those are his first 2 RBIs of the game, but he was not done yet. A double into the left center field gap that scored Dexter Fowler, and 3 RBIs for Carlson, and a 4-1 Cardinal lead.
All right, Ricky, so here we go. Bottom of the 8th. No one throwing yet in the Cardinal pen, so that might be our answer. Alex Reyes would get that 9th inning. Big night for Dylan Carlson, as you mentioned. The home run and the RBI double. Driven in 3 of the 4.
Very nearly had a night where he hit for the cycle the other night. A double, a triple, a single, and the last at bat he flew out to deep left field. I thought maybe he got it. That was in Kansas City, but no cycle, but certainly got him going in the right direction, and he hasn't looked back.
Two and 1 the count on Dylan Carlson. Cardinals about to hit the Brewers 9-6. They lead it 4-1.
You know, Danny, I say this in all sincerity. You know, there'll be a day where you talk about, you know, I was there when Yadier Molina did this or did that, and you and I will be able to say I was there when Yadier Molina got his 2000th hit. In fact, there was only about 200 people there.
Yeah. It's a shame of it, too.
See, I know.
A strikeout of Carlson. Cardinals baseball is brought to you by Bud Light Seltzer, unquestionably good, and by St. Louis Children's Hospital and Washington University physicians, doing what's right for kids. Now Colton Wong. And a strike from Black. Well, there's certain players you'll say that you had the chance to see him in person.
Yep.
And he's one of them that if he comes back next year, get a ticket. And I mean that sincerely. Mike Trout's one of them. Albert's one of them.
Right.
Yachty's one of them. Popped up. Because you may not see many come like those kind of players ever around again.
Well, they're generational players. And you know what? The great thing about this game is they'll be the next generation of players. And maybe Dylan Carlson will be one of them. And we'll be able to say, well, saw Dylan Carlson his rookie season. Back in 2020, you remember 2020. And people will say, of course I do. Well, that was the first time we had a chance to see Dylan Carlson play.
We will not have the game on Saturday. That'll be on Big Fox, and that potentially could be the final time regular season that Wainwright and Molina are the battery mates for a regular season game or a game here at Busch.
I hope not. But as you say, potentially.
My gut tells me no.
Right.
But we don't know. As Edman picks up the base hit into right. And it's not just a sentimental, hey, let's bring him back. They're still performing at a high level.
That's right. Both of them are. I mean, they're leading the team.
Yeah.
On the field, in the clubhouse, on the plains, wherever they go, they're still both leading the team. And I've always felt that it's important to have a pitcher who's a leader and a player who's a leader. Hard for a pitcher to lead a player because their world's just different. It just is. I mean, you can personally off the field, etc., but just in terms of what you do on the field, you need somebody on the field that can lead, and Yachty has absolutely done that since he came to the big leagues.
4-1 as we head to the ninth.
Ahí está, vamos. Hit a jardín central, y ahí está el imparable 2000 para Yadier, el marciano Molina, que apunta al cielo. Yo sé que está aguantando las lágrimas, se mete en la historia.
Polo Asensio, Benji Molina on the Spanish broadcast, and that's the Bud Light Seltzer play of the game.
I loved it. Pointing to the sky, I heard that. I heard 2000, and I heard the word tears along with that. And I know they were so excited next door. That was terrific to get to hear that.
Very cool. Jace Peterson, the batter for Milwaukee. So Alex Reyes indeed stays in the ball game. Much more coming up on Yachty in the post-game show. If the Cardinals can close this out. And if they do, St. Louis would go 2 in front of Milwaukee with 4 to play. Trying to go a half game in front of Cincinnati. And 2.5 behind Chicago. Hey, it's not easy for the Cubs. They've got the White Sox this weekend. White Sox still playing for something.
And the Reds have the Twins.
Yeah, they're still playing for something.
And they're both very good.
And the Cubs are coming off a series in which they dropped 3 of 4. They were shut out against Pittsburgh and had 2 hits against the Pirates. So there's still something to play for this weekend. 2-2 pitch. Fouled back. September baseball.
I love it. And, you know, I can feel it in the air with the cooler temperatures. It just feels like October. I mean, like, we're almost there, obviously, but it feels like postseason baseball.
In the dirt, and it's now full count on Peterson. No walks here in the ninth. I'm sure that's being stressed and has been stressed with a 3-run lead. Doubleheader tomorrow. Jack Flaherty going. Daniel Ponce de Leon up the middle, and a base hit as Reyes hit the deck.
Well, the Brewers still have their left-handed bats on their bench, and we mentioned at the onset of this game the only lefty they were playing and starting was Christian Yelich, but we've seen Daniel Vogelbach swing the bat and hurt the Cardinals. Peterson from the left side with the leadoff hit. They also have Omar Narvaez and Eric Sogard if they want to go to some other lefties against Reyes. And now some action in the Cardinals bullpen. I believe that's Andrew Miller starting to throw.
Mike Schilt thinking the same thing. They could go to those lefties, so Cardinals could counter with Miller. And now Molina out to visit. Pitch counted 22. 4-1 our score as we play here in the top of the ninth.
I love Yadi's demeanor when he's talking to pitchers, and noticed a couple of times this week where Mike Maddox would go out and he would stand there and Yadi would talk and Mike would leave. And he may have said something under his mask, but he trusts Yadi and he wants to hear the message, wants to make sure it's the one he concurs with. And he didn't even, I mean, literally just turned around and said, okay, they got it.
Yeah. One ball and one strike. Cardinals turn to double play back in the second. Now 1-2. It's a one thing with Reyes, and I would say even Cabrera, Helsley, power stuff, but yet you want to see the command. You want to see crisp.
Yeah. Well, they both made leaps, Cabrera and Reyes, this summer.
Swing and a miss, and he struck him out. So he comes back to get him. And the first out here in the ninth inning.
And it's going to be Daniel Vogelbach pinch hitting for Urias, who's 1 for 3 in this game. And Vogelbach had a really nice series against the Cardinals the last time we saw him. Still meeting his new teammates. He's been on 3 teams this year, which is an odd thing to think about with all of the protocols that you're dealing with, and he's had to kind of move around a little bit. He was an all-star
with Seattle. And the first pitch is strike. Oh, 1 pitch. This would be such a big win for the Cardinals, clearly. Team that's chasing you by a game in a 5-game series, but to do it against Corbin Burnes, who has been magnificent this year for Milwaukee. 2 outs away from doing it. The 1-1. slowly tapped up the first base line and foul. Lined, and now the tying run will come to the plate.
And it looks like Nottingham will be pinch hit for as well. You know, he's had some late inning heroics for Milwaukee. Nottingham has. Yet they're going to go with a left-handed bat. They want the left-hander Sogard against Reyes. And Mike Schultz waiting for him to be introduced because he's got Andrew Miller loose, and he's going to go to Miller.
Well, this one is far from over. Tying run will come to the plate. Andrew Miller coming on with the tying run at the plate when we come back. Come in with 2 runners on and the tying run at the plate. Eric Sogard will be the batter. Cardinals have out hit the Brewers 10-8. They have a lead of 4-1 as we play here in this 9th inning, game 1 of the 5-game series. So Sogard pinch hitting for Nottingham. Miller last 8 appearances, 26 batters, 0 hits allowed, but a couple of walks, 3 hit batters, a blown save. 2 of the 3 runners he inherited came around to score and trying to finish this one off. A little drama here in this top of the 9th. And there's ball 1. Ryan Helsley starts to throw behind Miller now in the Cardinal bullpen. The 1-0 pitch, slider and a strike, 1-1. Sogard appearing in his 39th game for Milwaukee this season. That's it out of play. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
I thought the last time I saw Andrew Miller, he was the sharpest I've seen him as a Cardinal.
I think he's got to pitch a lot as long as his health is there. He just seems to get better when he pitches more.
I think that's right. Release point, mechanics, all that stuff. I mean, he has such a unique delivery, just may need to have all those reps. Sweeping slider here, I would guess. Didn't sweep much.
One-two pitch hit the other way, base hit inside the third base line. A run will score. And O'Neill will get it back in quickly, holding Sogard to a single that cuts a lead to 4-2.
As you said, the game is not over yet.
Key play there was O'Neill making sure that didn't get down into the corner.
He went with the fastball. He didn't double up with the slider, and the fastball up. Sogard took it the other way. And here's the play by O'Neill. He just traps it. Just kind of smothers it in the corner. and keeps the runners from advancing.
Well, you have the 3-batter minimum, so with that, it's Garcia, who does have 2 homers this year. Things have gotten really interesting now here at the ballpark.
So Helsley is up for Braun. And Miller has to pitch through Yelich.
The outfield is deep as you can possibly play here at Busch Stadium.
They sure are. Well, the Brewers aren't quitting in this game, that's for sure. I give them credit. Got to stop the bleeding right here.
The 0-1. Fouled back, 0-2. Over 4 with a strikeout against the Cardinal lefty. Last night, Garcia went 3 for 4. Tonight, does have a walk. He's lined out, grounded out. The 0-2. Inside corner and struck him out.
Wow, that was a big pitch for Andrew Miller. A huge pitch for Andrew Miller. He dots the inside corner with a fastball. He's looking breaking ball, and he gets it right on that corner. He can't believe it, but it was indeed a strike. And 1 more to go. And he's not an easy guy to get.
2 for 5 with a home run that was hit last year when he put it into the bullpen opposite field. Remember, he just kept his front shoulder in, got a fastball, and drove it the other way. Looks at a fastball there low. Yelich with 11 home runs this season. And 0 for 3 and a walk tonight.
And remember, Mike Schilt putting the A defense in last inning. That could be important.
Here's a 1-0 to Yelich. In there for a strike. 1 ball and 1 strike. The 1-1 pitch. Miller to Yelich. Inside. The 2-1. Ground ball, foul.
And I'm thinking about the difference, Dan, of not having September call-ups and not having all these extra players for a game like this. Vogelback probably would have been pinch run for, and that ball down in the corner would have runners at second and third, and the tying run would be at second base instead of first base.
Good point. Still was surprised, though, he wasn't pinch run for to an extent.
Less options.
Yeah. The 2-2 pitch. Just off the plate. Now 3-2. Runners off with the pitch.
Oh, that was close to take, wasn't it?
Yes.
Oh, my. How did he take that pitch? Helsley's ready for Braun. Let's hope he's not needed.
(3-2) swing and a miss. He struck him out. Miller strikes out Yelich. And the Cardinals take game 1 of the series 4-2. Huge win for the Cardinals. Are now 28-26 and 2 in front of Milwaukee with 4 to play against the Brewers.
A signature win for 2020. Molina the star. Cardinals pitching was very, very good. And Dylan Carlson made some nice moments happen as well with the bat.
Yachty with hit number 2,000. Still baseball to go, but this is a big one tonight. 4-2 the final.